Sea snakes, deadly hunters of oceans and estuaries, and with turtles and crocodiles, an enduring reminder of how life on Earth evolved from reptiles of the deep. Sea snakes consist of two families, true sea snakes, which have a completely marine origin, never coming out on land. And the others, like these sea kraits, are amphibious, and they move freely on land, like this one, heading back down to the water. G'day, I'm Steve Irwin, and these are highly venomous sea kraits. This island moves with them. It's amazing. Let's go on an adventure with these spectacular marine reptiles. Our adventure with sea snakes and kraits takes us across thousands of square miles, and our first stop is one of the hundreds of islands that make up the nation of Fiji. And that's where we're headed. It's a really remote island right out in the middle of the Pacific. We've got Australia over there, Hawaii over there, we're in the middle, and apparently this is Crate, capital of the world. Sea kraits range the oceans from Fiji in the South Pacific through Papua New Guinea and South China Sea and the shores of Southeast Asia. Kraits are amphibious, well adapted for the water, yet still at home on land where they spend vital parts of their life. They move like land snakes, and their flattened tail is perfect for swimming. It shows they spend most of their lives at sea. Have a look at these! Spectacular! I'm fair smack dab in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, and these are sea kraits. Very unlike sea snakes, these kraits come on land. They lay their eggs, they shed their skin, they bask, they hide, they retreat right here on land. I'm right fair smack in the tropics, and they're thick. They're absolutely everywhere, all over the place, crawling up the beach day and night. And these girls here, they're gravid. They're gonna lay their eggs. Kraits. They're highly venomous. One bite and I'd be dead 20 times over. But they just don't bite. They're absolutely gorgeous. There's more of them. They're everywhere. Talk about placid. They are incredibly placid. You can just go face to face with them. And they don't hurt, they just don't bite. They just won't bite. Look at this. She's a good girl. There's not too many snakes I'd do that with, but these sea kraits are so placid, they are the most placid animal in the ocean. Are you gonna come up here? Look at her.
Only someone as experienced as Steve should handle them like this. They may be good-natured, but never forget, sea kraits have some of the deadliest venom on Earth, and you should leave them well alone.
Have a look at this. Traps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're everywhere. The place is thick with them. They're going in and coming out, doing their business, back out into the water foraging after they've laid their eggs. Every track leads to a snake. Look at this big girl up here. There's hundreds of them here. They aggregate. And that's why there's hundreds. This is the beach, this is the spot. Everywhere you look, there's just one snake after another. It's starting to get a little hot now, so they're all going to have just about made it up into the shadows and cooling down.
Like many species, kraits gather in aggregations at certain times of the year. We still don't know for sure why, but the best scientific evidence suggests it's part of their breeding cycle.
You can see the coloration of this one. It's got a more sky blue, lighter coloured blue, and that's because this one's going to shed its skin. Have a look at its eyes. There's smoky colour. And they're just starting to clear up now. She's going to shed her skin in a minute.
The smoky eyes are caused by a thin layer of skin that's starting to separate, and when the snake sheds, the eyes will again be perfectly clear. Steve knows just how far he can go with reptiles, and since he's no threat, the sea crate won't bother him. Just the same, you have to know when to let go.
Oh, aren't they gorgeous? They're the most beautiful animal I've ever seen. That bluey colour, absolutely gorgeous. And have a look at this. It's like they live in a tropical paradise. And it's quite cool in here amongst the foliage. And this leaf litter provides a lot of nutrients. And down a bit, the dirt is quite moist. And you can see as the leaf litter breaks down, it provides the perfect nest material. There's another one. They're everywhere. You gotta watch your step so you don't step on the little beauties.
This one's female. You can tell by the size, and they're less likely to bite. In some parts of the Pacific, and that includes this region, the locals avoid all crates in the breeding season. They say males can turn very nasty, and with such powerful venom, a bite could be fatal.
Look at the size of this one. Beautiful. Be nearly 6 feet in length, and this is about as big as they get. The females are 1/3 larger than the males. She's a beautiful female. Absolutely beautiful. When she's ready to shed her skin, she'll start to slough. And what she'll do is she'll start with her lips, where the skin will peel off, her head will come off, and then it'll all slough off in one piece. She hasn't got eggs, though. She's come up onto the beach, into this vegetation, to shed her skin.
The world population of sea kraits seems healthy at the moment. Localized hunting for their skins and meat has hit some populations, but even when an area has been almost hunted out, they seem to recover fairly quickly if they're given long enough to repopulate. Apart from kraits, we're hard-pressed to find much else wandering around the island.
What we're really looking for are signs that will help confirm the view that kraits aggregate for breeding.
Ooh, look at this little girl. This is the smallest one we've found, and she's probably only around 3 years of age. And have a look at this. She's got a belly full of eggs. Look at the eggs there. See, I can actually count the eggs. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. So this little girl's got 4 eggs. Isn't she darling? Have you got 4 eggs? Oh gosh, she's cute. Away you go.
The number of eggs laid by kraits varies from place to place. In this region, it's usually between 4 and 10, but further west, there could be as many as 20 eggs in a single laying.
Here's a skin shed, or in snake terms, we call it a slough. And this is the epidermal layer that they shed off. It's the first layer of skin. You can see there's the ventral scales. They're the big wide ones on the bottom, which enable the sea crate to be able to go up on land just as easy as any other snake. And you can see the smaller ones on the top. There's those distinct bands. Dark on blue, on dark, on blue. It's a big snake, be another big female.
This skin is broken up in pieces. Normally, the crate sheds its entire skin in one piece by loosening it first, snagging it on rocks or vegetation, and then crawling away from it.
Here she is. Wow. Look how bright and shiny this one is. She's just shed her skin. But I tell you what, have a look at this. Have a look on her head. I was wondering why that skin shed was so broken up. Now I see why. Look at that scar on her head. That's a shocker. So you can see whatever's grabbed has chomped it right across there and there. In fact, if you look at the size of the bite, chomp. Be about the shark size, I reckon, a small shark, probably a reef shark, has grabbed her by the head and she's been able to break away. There's some more teeth marks over here. It's very important that she sheds her skin because every single time she does, she'll heal up. She's going to recover from this. They're a very hardy species and she won't have any problem at all. They're really tough little snakes, and it's very important that while I'm handling them, I'm very gentle. That bite to the head is quite a severe injury, but I'm confident she'll heal up no problem at all. You can see how thick this vegetation is, and it provides excellent camouflage, shelter and cover for the sea snakes. When they're out in the ocean, they've got a few predators. All sorts of sharks, perhaps even some pelagic fish, sea eagles, Brahminy kites, birds of prey. They love to eat them. This one's heading out into the reef shallows. I'm going to follow her, and that'll take us right out into their amphibious territory. Here she goes. Notice the way they swim, just like a sea snake, exactly the same. Very streamlined. Here she goes, she's getting there. She's heading straight out into the deep water. She cut through the water with the greatest of ease. Once you're in the water, you couldn't tell a crate from a sea snake.
Even land snakes swim like this, but sea snakes and kraits get their speed from the flattened tail. The whole body is shaped like a paddle, and it works the same way.
It's amazing how deceptively quick they move in the water. They've got two different forms of respiration, one from above water and one underneath water.
On land, sea kraits take regular, frequent breaths, but in water they take a few fast gulps of air on the surface and then hold their breath for about half an hour of diving time.
Pretty sharp. I tell you what, these kraits will want to be quick and on the move, because these hard-hitting predators of the reef shallows love to eat the kraits.
The krait's only defense is a quick burst of speed before hiding in a crevice or hole, because there isn't much in the sea that can outswim a shark.
The thing I find fascinating, or in actual fact bizarre, is out of the dozens, or in actual fact hundreds of snakes we've seen on this beautiful tropical island paradise, they're all females, every single one of them. Laying eggs, shedding their skin, having a rest. I'd like to find some males, and perhaps they're in the rocky headlands over there.
Rocky areas are perfect retreats for sea kraits. The cracks and crevices provide shelter from predators. And here's what we're looking for. A male heading to the shore to get out on dry land.
Looking, searching, hunting with his forked tongue. They are so fluid in the water, they just glide through. And those bands, those distinct bands, actually create an optical illusion which I guess would fool sharks and other predators.
Sea snakes and kraits have a special gland in their mouths to get rid of excess salt. And sea kraits also help solve the problem with fresh rainwater.
Have a look at this. He's having a drink of water. Come on, mate. He's having a little drink. Look at this. Isn't he gorgeous? This is a mature, adult male krait. And he's a real looker. An absolute glamour boy. I bet the girls like you. Gorgeous. This is what sets kraits apart from snakes, is that they actively search and drink fresh water. There's been a few showers around, and he's come up here on the peak of the high tide, got himself a drink, and is he a good looker or what? Notice how small he is compared to the girls. This is a mature adult male. Incredible. Now, see how banded he is? Look at those bands. Absolutely vivid. And that's an advertisement. Kraits have bands as an advertisement. I'm a toxic snake, which is quite amazing because the local people believe that the kraits, these what they call sea snake, has rear fangs, or they can open their mouth only very, very small, which is actually wrong. They can open their mouth right up and deliver a very powerful bite, very potent bite, their front fang. He was just coming up here for a casual drink. It'll be dark very, very soon, and he'll go on the feed. They love these rocky headlands, and particularly the high tides. That enables them to get washed out across the feeding grounds. I wonder when they hook up with the females. He's pretty keen to get back down there to the water, so I better let him get out into that tidal flow and go look for some girls. Away you go, mate.
Most kraits mate and breed in the summer, but breeding can occur all year round, so there's a chance you'll find at least some eggs anytime you go searching for them.
Here's another fresh skin shed. How's this? It's still moist. The ants have started to eat it, but that's last night. What a beauty. Oh, here we go. Here we go, check this out. Eggs, and they've hatched. There's probably around 4 or 5 of them. What a bonus for the ecosystem. What a bonus for the kraits.
Almost all sea crate eggs are laid above the high tide level, but sometimes they're found submerged in salt water. Some researchers believe they may be able to hatch while still submerged, but there's no evidence that crate eggs can survive the salt water.
These tidal pools are a classic place to look for all species of wildlife. Look at this. Look at this. They're mating. They're joined. It's mating. They're mating. Unbelievable. Check this. There's 2 males. Here's another one coming up through the weeds now. We got 2 males and a female. They're joined. They're actually joined. Their tails are together and they're joined. And this other male, he's been stimulated by the pheromones, the mating activity, and he wants to have a go too. There's one. Look at the size of that one. It's as thick as me arm.
We've moved west.
We're about 70 k's out in the middle of the ocean. The nearest land is a very small coral cay, and it's only about half a kilometre wide. Now, why this reef is so thick with sea snakes is because there's no birds of prey. Their only predators are sharks.
Unlike kraits, the true sea snakes live their entire lives at sea. They hunt, breed, and give birth, never touching dry land. Their only link with the world their ancestors left is the need to breathe air, and that's when we're able to spot them.
Have a look at this little beauty. Gorgeous species of sea snake. Now you can see, I can actually gently manipulate them and they're not too bad. But if I grabbed hold of it, it'd spin around and bite me.
These breathing trips to the surface are when they're most vulnerable to predators. The snake knows it, and anything we do now might be seen as a threat.
He's just getting a breath. You watch, he'll dive down now.
Sea snakes are champion deep sea divers. Some can dive at least 300 feet and maybe even be able to reach 500.
They can stay under the water for hours. Me, I'm an air-breathing mammal. I got a maximum of 2 minutes.
This one's a Stokes sea snake, and take a look at that flattened body and tail pushing it through the water down to the bottom where it likes to hunt.
The deep is just where the sea snakes like it. They cruise along the bottom, probing, searching, foraging for their food, and they use their forked tongue as their sense of smell, just like a land snake.
Stokes sea snakes grow to be the largest in the world. They are the bulkiest of all the sea snakes, huge. They're known to attack, and they've been stimulated by sensing some of their normal food, the sea snake. Those jerky movements mean the shark's in attack mode, and it really is time to get out of the water. Now there's a pack of them, and that's when they're at their most dangerous.
I don't mind sharing territory with the sea snakes, but sharing territory with sharks is something I don't take too lightly. I mean, they're playing field, and I like to be really, really careful. I find the sea snakes very unintimidating, very uninclined to bite, and if I'm careful and I'm able to manipulate them, they're not too bad. If I grab them, they swing around and grab me, which would almost be as bad as a shark bite.
With sharks, an abandoned fishing net, something that's more dangerous to marine life than most of the predators down here. It's a real hazard for sea snakes. They forage along the bottom, and if one gets caught, there's no way it could get back to the surface for air and it would drown. This little death trap's going back to the boat. Another olive sea snake senses the kill. He tastes the water with his tongue, a powerful sense organ that tells him exactly what's happened. He's definitely curious, but he's not going to attempt to steal the other snake's kill. You should always try to avoid sea snakes, but if you do encounter one up close, it helps to understand their behavior. Mainly, they're just curious, and if they satisfy their curiosity, they'll usually just move away. But if you panic and start pushing or grabbing them, curiosity can turn into a defensive attack. Even an accidental touch with a diving fin can be enough to provoke a bite. Steve loves them. He has spent his entire life around sea snakes, and he knows just how far he can go. And unless you're that experienced, no one else should deliberately try to get this close. Steve knows the touch they'll like and when they'll bite.
All of these species we've been looking at on the reef are large and bulky and very docile. We're going up into the tropical mangroves to have a look at a very lean, relatively aggressive species, the most venomous sea snake of them all, on a life-saving mission.
We've moved into far northern Australia to find the beaked sea snake. It's highly venomous, and this species is blamed for 90% of all bites and half of all human deaths attributed to sea snakes. It's the 6th most venomous snake in the world, and it's got a reputation as the most aggressive of all the sea snakes, and they love estuaries.
Our search for this species is vital to the safety of fishermen from the north of Australia to Southeast Asia and India. Every year, the number of people bitten by beaked sea snakes could run into the thousands. Not every bite results in venom being injected, but of the hundreds who are envenomated, around half will die without an antivenom. Our job is to capture beaked sea snakes to produce antivenom for the rest of the world. The species hunts both day and night, and to start with,
this is a file snake, which is non-venomous, so I don't have to worry about venom. These are a beautiful little snake. Totally harmless, fish eater. It's an aquatic snake, not designed for being on land. There we go. And like all snakes, it does breathe air, so it has to come to the surface in order to get a breath. Okay, the reason we know this is not an actual sea snake is by the shape of the tail. Notice it's got a round tail. It doesn't have a flat, rudder-like tail. That instantly tells you whether or not it's a sea snake, simply by the shape of the tail. This one's getting a little bit cranky, so I think I'll go ahead and let it go. Watch your side.
Net.
Net.
No worries.
After a successful spotlight, we're now going to try getting the species we're after in the mangroves. This is exactly the sort of environment where most of the fatal bites occur within the fishermen throughout Southeast Asia.
But before there's a chance to set our nets, we spot one swimming on the surface.
No, go straight, go straight. That's a whopper, isn't it? Is that what we're after? Whoa, got him. In you go, mate. Wow, not bad.
Nice one. Yeah, sad he must be nearly 6 feet long.
Oh, I'd say closer to 7. He's a whopper. I think he's trying to come back out. I don't really want him in the bottom of the boat.
Let's have a look.
Okay. No, he's settling. Wow, what a beauty.
Gee, that's a nice snake.
What a little river.
Nice snake. Oh, let's let you go.
Okay.
This was the elegant sea snake, the longest species of sea snake in the world, growing over 7 feet in length. Time to move on.
This is one of the most pristine set of mangroves, absolutely glorious. Big, major root system creating the perfect camouflage for sea snakes. Of course, your sharks, birds of prey, other predators of the snakes can't get in and amongst the mangrove roots to get them. Sharks up front. Sharks are one of the natural predators of the sea snake. And you can see the sharks milling around in the estuaries, and the snakes have to be very cryptic, camouflaged, mainly coming up at night, because if they show themselves during the day here, these sharks, whack, pick them off, love to eat them.
The mangroves are favorite haunts for a variety of different sea snakes. When you see them underwater, you can understand why the mangroves suit them so well. Other creatures would find the tangle of roots an awkward barrier, but for a sea snake, a flick of their flattened tail and they glide effortlessly through the gaps.
I feel pretty safe in the mangroves to share territory with this beautiful orange snake. Oh! Right, too close.
Careful, Steve. Anything as big as Steve could easily be seen as a threat. So like everywhere else we've seen sea snakes, we have to be exceptionally cautious. It's no wonder the sea snake is aggressively defensive. While the mangroves give some protection, they're always vulnerable in shallow water, especially when they surface to breathe, and especially if there's a gap in the cover. Birds of prey love to catch sea snakes. He missed this time, but with shallow water and superb flying skills, they often hit their mark. The technique is perfect, but the snake has been too quick. This is how many of the deadly bites occur. The fishermen sometimes step on the snakes when they're setting up nets, and of course the snake bites in an instant.
Keep your coming up to
The
you.
next danger time for the fishermen is when they haul in the nets. Sea snakes get entangled, and the fishermen have to set them free before they can reach the fish. Like us, they've had plenty of practice handling sea snakes, but sometimes they just don't see the snakes, and when they're handled, they struggle like crazy.
Gee, well, that's good, isn't it? I thought we only had one in the net. We had 3. Good stuff. This is one we haven't seen before. This is a beautiful little sea snake, but you can see how wiry he is. This certainly isn't the species that we're after. So I'll just let this one go.
You little cutie, there you go. You go have some nice breakfast of fish.
Any beaked sea snakes we catch will be held and milked in captivity. The old man who used to milk their venom at sea didn't pass on his technique before he died, and no one's been able to duplicate his work. We were called in to help because of our experience with reptiles at Australia Zoo, and we're hoping our efforts with the nets will help re-establish the supply of life-saving anti-venom.
We take stringing the net very seriously. Nets are quite hard on wildlife, so it's important to monitor, survey the net every single second. Because when a sea snake or another species gets in there, we've got to get to it really quickly and pull it out so as we can save it. Here comes one now.
You all right?
Yep.
Wow, what a beauty.
Bucket.
One's trapped underwater, and Steve goes in to free it before it can drown.
Wow, it feels its life threatened. It's gonna bite anything, and this is how fishermen get bitten. It's important to get it out of the net really quickly and not take a bite. Whoa, into the safety of the bucket. Pretty soon we spot another one way out in the shallows. This is gonna be dangerous. I've got to be really careful where and when I grab it. And it's important to get it up out of the water and hold it so it can't bite me. If it gets alongside my body, it'll tag me, no doubt about it.
Not bad.
The beaked sea snakes we've captured are particularly toxic. Right through our search for the snakes, the effects of a deadly bite were right at the front of our minds. Badly bitten victims die from breathing difficulties or heart failure inside 48 hours, and some linger on for days.
Great. Did you get him? Yep. This little one is only a juvenile. He won't be big enough to milk, but he'll be great. In a couple of years, we'll feed him up on catfish and get him nice and big. Whoa.
I'm totally trusting you.
Got him. Of course, sea snakes, like all snakes, breathe air. They come to the surface and breathe air, so it's important that we get plenty of ventilation inside this box. These captures are just the first stage. Eventually, the snakes and their venom will end up in the hands of scientists and technicians who'll turn the deadly fluid into a life-saving anti-venom. Nice and steady, mate. But in the meantime, they're going to a reptile park in Sydney where they'll be treated as some of the most precious animals on Earth.
The Australian Reptile Park has taken on the job of milking venom from some of the most dangerous creatures on the face of the planet. They include the deadly funnel web spiders, as well as some of the world's most venomous land and sea snakes.
They've had decades of experience developing a variety of techniques to persuade these creatures to open their venom glands and deliver their deadly contents.
The tank for the beaked sea snakes is designed to duplicate the water conditions they live in and to keep them as healthy and stress-free as possible. Sea snakes are used to a world without barriers, being able to go anywhere they want in a limitless ocean. They can't accept that their new world has 4 walls, and the curtains are there to stop them hitting the edge and to provide cover when they feel exposed. The program is still being developed, and everyone at the park realizes that many lives depend on the success of their efforts. There's one last thing we have to do. We wouldn't have felt our part of the effort was complete without seeing some precious venom being milked from the snakes we captured. So it's back in the water to face the beaked sea snake and take him out of his element one more time. No matter how often this happens, the sea snakes will never change. They never get used to being out of the water, and they always fight. They can't be trained, and every time you handle them, it's just as dangerous as the day they were first captured from the tropical waters of the Pacific Ocean. Normally, we will keep well away from the head, but for milking, that's the only place to grab them. Firm enough to stop it breaking free, but gentle enough to save the snake from injury. A mistake either way could be disastrous. Steve and I never milk snakes because it's really hard on them, but this procedure saves human lives.
It's always an honour to share space with sea snakes and to see for ourselves that being gentle is rewarded by rare close-up encounters with reptiles of the deep.
Of all the marine reptiles I've ever met or I'm ever likely to meet, these sea kraits are certainly the most timid, the most placid, and easily my most beautiful in the entire world. Aren't they gorgeous? This has been the epic adventure of a lifetime.